Hi, welcome to Erudite DM. This is Mike, and I'm really excited to have a special guest with me here today, talking about 4D and some other gaming fun stuff. It's James from Better with Bacon.
Hello, Mike. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. We were talking a little before we came on about how we've just gotten to know each other recently, played in a couple of games kind of by happenstance, and then one we planned on with 4D with Table Runner Crispy, and Watch Your DM as well. And we're always in a group, so I don't get a chance to kind of pick your brain. We don't get a chance to talk kind of one on one. So I said, hey, I'll get him on the channel. We'll talk about what we love, what bugs us, and all those good things. So we're going to jump into it here. Um, First things first, I guess I always try to assume that people don't know me and don't know me from Adam, which is probably a good bet.
Well, I assume that same thing, and I have a very small channel. It's a teeny tiny little channel, but
Yeah, I'm still going to celebrate when I get to 480, subscriptions. That'll be a big deal for me. In a year or
me
two,
too.
maybe it'll be a lot more. But I think you're like me in that you really like the networking with other, role playing gamers and like meeting people and crunching around these ideas and things.
I do. I like to. I generally like. We're going to sit here and we're going to start talking about the 40 style of play, whether or not it's a preferred style of play or whatever. But my real goal, my main drive is to play with people. I want to play with people. I want to play with you. I want to play with Lord Mattias and Gary. I want to play with Crispy. I want to play with, Mike, my colleague Mike. I want to play with Keith, a friend of mine. I just want to sit down and play with people. And so whatever they're most comfortable playing, whatever game that is, whatever style that is, I'm there for it. I just want to play with people. I think that getting the most experience with people, how they play, it's I don't know. I just find it fascinating. It's something that I really, really like doing.
You know why that is? We talked beforehand, and I won't go into detail, but Bacon and I talked about what we do in real life. And like all of you, we have real jobs, and those are stressful, but they pay well, or hopefully they pay well enough. But
Yes.
we're very fortunate, right? And we have careers and things, but that's stressful. This this is not stressful, right?
Nope.
I've got stuff on my desk here. I've got Elric Melnibone. I've got some books over here. I've got Black Sword Hack. I've got Shadow Dark. It's fun time. This is what I do to blow off steam, and I'm guessing you're coming from the same place.
Yeah, generally speaking, I do come from that same place. It's like it's a measure of escapism. It's also because I'm the idiot who wants to, really kind of focus in and make it as serious as I possibly can. It's also about kind of understanding myself. It's about understanding other people. There's layers there. There are layered elements to why I enjoy doing it and why I enjoy how I do it. But it is escapism is definitely a large piece of that appreciation.
Definitely. Hey, with your channel, have you noticed an undercurrent of folks? Maybe I'm sure it's a very small percentage though, who want to go on there and want to say something snarky and argue with you and try to shoot you down. You know,
Oh yeah.
I've got a tiny few of those because my whole thing is mostly Shadow Dark right now and
Hmm.
expanding things in Shadow Dark. And there are
Hmm.
people that are just like, it's not in the rules as written. It's not in the core book. You're making stuff up. Yeah, exactly. Welcome to my channel. I'm adding ideas. I'm not saying you have to use them. Do you have that little group of folks?
Yeah, I do, but I always approach them like they have genuine points of view. Everyone has genuine point of view, and I always approach them in what I hope is an open and an inquisitive way. I want to know why they're coming from the direction that they're coming from. I want to know, and sometimes it's not even me wanting to know why they're coming from the direction they're coming from. Sometimes it's a legitimate correction.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone will show up in the comments and be like, "Hey, there's this thing," and I'll be like, "Oh, you know what? That's something that didn't occur to me. It didn't come up in whatever research I was doing for a video. I didn't script it. Maybe I got it wrong because of the sources that I had indicated were just not pointing in that direction. I think one of them was Anthony Runeslinger. Furthest thing from Snark. I love Anthony to death. We're very good friends. We talk frequently. So I'm not putting him in that camp. But he did correct me one time in my bleed video. I think I attributed the idea of bleed to Sarah Bowman, and that's not correct. she does a lot of work with it, and so she frequently receives credit. But someone else actually coined the term, and it was in a different year. So he set the record straight on that, and I was very appreciative about that. I pinned the comment because I don't want, like, my goal is to be honest and to be truthful. I don't want an actual, like, a legitimate mistake to sort of, color the rest of a video. But so there's that. There's the genuine, honest to goodness corrections in good faith. Sometimes there's a little bit of I don't know what to call it. I don't want to call it snark, but sometimes I think people maybe they have a perspective, I'll say, and it's not always agreement. And I think the one that rings clearest, it's probably the most recent one, is when we sat down to talk about the draw steal experience that we had. So we had session 0, then we ran the game, and then we sat down afterwards to talk about it. And there was a couple of comments that talked about how it was disingenuous because we were trying to force the system to do something it wasn't meant to do. And they're not wrong, right? But we also addressed that up front, or at least I made sure to in the conversation. I said, hey, look, this isn't a commentary on the worth or value of draw steal as a game. We know we were trying to make it, like, we were trying to force a round peg through a square hole.
Yeah.
We immediately copped to that. And I even, at the end of the video, I admitted that I bought the game. I have it here because I am Gadamerian in my approach, because I think that it's the game that constitutes the player. The game will tell you what kind of player you should be to engage with it. And then you step into that role to engage with the game. And so because of that, I thought that there's a lot of decent ideas in draw steal. I quite like some of those ideas. So I wanted to see the kind of player it made me. So I bought it. And even still, like, it feels like sometimes, and this is generally the case, people don't get to the end of the video. They don't really engage with you in good faith sometimes. Sometimes they are engaging in good faith and they just missed a detail. So, and that's how I try to approach them. I don't like to meet that sort of challenge with, my own sort of attitude. I don't like doing that because I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that can be lost there. And generally speaking, I'm an agreeable guy. I'm easy to get along with. And I don't want to invalidate someone else's opinion just because they happen to disagree with me.
Yeah. A lot of it comes down to subjective stuff too.
Yeah.
We all have our personal biases. We all have the type of flavor of setting we like. We all have our, built-in whatever. Elves. Oh, I don't like elves or dwarves or whatever. It just goes.
Yeah, Elf Game 1.0, Elf Game 2.0.
I will say if you're new to gaming, or even if you've been gaming a while and you're just getting on and watching this video and listening to us talk about this, realize that there are lots of great channels on YouTube where you can go and learn about the game you're interested in or the game you want to play and the way you want to play it. And it's okay to discuss these things. You can leave comments like on this video. You can comment to us and we'll follow up with you. But I think the best kind of game designers and the best writers and publishers are the ones who actively pursue the community around their game and they interact with it. Kelsey's a great example, but people like Sandy Peterson or Jeff Talanian, and the list goes on and on. I mean, it's a pretty fun hobby because you get to bounce around ideas with these people. I get my morning Reddit for Shadow Dark, for example, and somebody was asking about, hand-to-hand boxing combat, that kind of thing. What would you do? Somebody was saying, oh, I'd do a 1 to 2 points of damage. If they're not a fighter type, make them roll at disadvantage, right? That's within the mechanic of Shadow. Oh, that's all great. Well, here comes Arcane Library on the Reddit. Kelsey herself jumps in there and says, this is coming in Western Reaches. I actually have a page about this idea for hand-to-hand combat, and I was using a D4, but I like the way you explained, there's the creator of the product, and there's none of this big corporate, this is the way it is according to the rules and the book, she's just talking with people and spinning the ideas around. And I can't speak for every role-playing game out there, but one of the things that attracted me to Shadow Dark was I always felt like, yes, it's really lean. I wouldn't even say it's rules light. I would just say it's really cleaned up. So it's very presentable and quick to learn and quick to play. But the thing I loved is she left holes there right? She didn't go down the rabbit hole with every rule and every part of the rules and tell you what it must be. She left it open to interpretation. And she even said it in the core rule book that if you don't like one of the things I'm presenting here, don't use it. Go do something, do with something you and your friends agree with, And I'm
Yeah, I
like,
think Kelsey in particular she's great. I have a very teeny tiny interaction with her myself.
mhm.
Um, it's with her, and I don't know what to call him, assistant, associate, but I it was an email exchange, very very brief.
Michael, was it Michael Putlack?
I honest to goodness don't know it.
Okay.
It may have been. I'll have to check the
Oh,
email.
no, it's okay. I'm just curious. I've
But
run
I know, like the way it happened was that he received it, he responded, he forwarded it to her, she got back to me. So it was a very very brief exchange, but she was great. And I've seen her like Lord Mattias was talking about Shadow Dark on the second watch one week, and she
Mhm.
hopped into chat and started talking about it. There was an unsolicited advice. So Crispy, Table Runner Crispy, did an unsolicited advice on one of her games, and she commented, and she's like so positive and so like trying to see things from people's perspective, and really really encouraging the creativity, and just she wants the entire group who uses her game to really flourish in as broad and successful a way as possible, and it's absolutely indicative of her attitude and how she approaches people. She's really very unique in that regard. I think that there are many people, myself included, who could certainly learn from her approach.
Yeah, some of us are too impatient, too brusque sometimes, and especially guys, we get our testosterone levels up and want to start arguing through X or something. I say that I've stayed off of that one so far, but yeah, I think a lot of us are guilty of that. And she is just truly unusual in just how kind and approachable she is. But so is Talanian. I don't know about James Raggy, and I didn't know him when I was there last summer at one of the cons, but I know Joe the lawyer loves him, and I know Matt Lord Mattias has had interactions with him and written some stuff for them, and says he's a very off the wall guy, but really really very nice when you're dealing with him. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to kind of feed that out there for some of these folks. What started you in gaming? We all have our little origin story. They tend to run together for people of a certain age group, with no hair or gray hair. But what kind of got you into this space?
So I was young. I don't know how young I was, but there was a neighbor of mine who wanted to run. It was Shadowrun. I don't know what edition, not third, which is the best edition. But he wanted to run Shadowrun. And so me, my brother, and then there were neighbors on the other side. So it was just a group of us. He was running Shadowrun. We were in a Shadowrun game. And that's really how it started. So I don't believe I started in Dungeons and Dragons. That came later. So it was Shadowrun. From Shadowrun, I think it was Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder. And then that group also played Vampire the Masquerade. So I got involved in Vampire the Masquerade. There's this kind of joke that there's like a Shadowrun to Vampire the Masquerade to BRP pipeline. So I went from Shadowrun to Vampire the Masquerade to Call of Cthulhu, which is BRP. And Call of Cthulhu, I played that for a long while. That is it's still a part of, like, I still bring that into games with me. And that's I don't know, that's probably maybe too quick of a rundown. But that's that.
Have you always been
Obviously
consistent with
there are more committed times in my life when I'm role playing every week. There are less committed times in my life where I wasn't role playing all that well. Like I remember playing what is it, Fifth Age, Dragonlance Fifth Age. It was a Saga system, brand new from TSR, really weird system. I really liked it. I really enjoy. I actually still have a box of Fifth Age. I don't know how it would run today. I haven't read it in a very long time, but I've always had this sort of eclectic, just for falling in with the different groups that I fell in with, an eclectic system exposure. Um, and it's definitely shaped my perspective. Like I do want to play as many games as I can to see how they handle different action resolution systems or whatever. Maybe they have social mechanics, maybe they don't, maybe they're hex crawls, maybe they're not, but I want to see what they do different, because in my view, I don't really know what I like until I know what's out there. I can know what I like now and the experience that I have, but there could be something out there that's just far, far better than what I've experienced. And I want to make sure that that I play all those games. And so
Yeah,
I think,
I think you hit it right on the head there, James, because so many of the people that we talk with, it just keeps going, oh, there's a new system. There's a new system coming on. There's a new thing or a new setting, and it's like we're so lucky. And I hear people talk about what a golden age this is in role playing, and it really is because there's so many different flavors and products out there and writers and publishers where it all started with this one thing with Dungeons and Dragons, and it just took off from there. It kind of surprises me you didn't start with D&D. You did encounter with D&D, but maybe I'm thinking you're a lot younger than I'm
I'm
guessing.
46. I'll
You're
tell you.
46. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 59. So, yeah, I mean, did you play a lot of video games as a kid? And do you still play video games if you do?
I play video games when I'm able, but I'm not like, I have so many different personal projects. And that, like, really what I do now is personal projects, which I break to play role playing games for.
Yeah.
Video games are very, like I have some video games here. It's just that they kind of just sit around.
They're a guilty pleasure. They're such a giant time suck.
No, they are. They really are. And I like, there have been times where, there's a game that people are really talking about, and so I'll play it. Or like when Call of Duty comes out every year, I'm big into Call of Duty. I enjoy that style of game. So I'll buy Call of Duty and I'll play that probably like up to Christmas or a little after the New Year. And that's probably all the playtime I'm going to get out of it. Because I just have so much else that I want to get done.
Yeah.
But I do play video games, and I can't tell you when I first started playing role-playing games. Like, I'm 46. I know I've been playing them for around like 30 years for sure. Probably a little bit before that. Maybe like 31, 32 years, but I'm not like
early 90s, mid 90s or something you started playing, I would guess.
Yeah, I'd say like late 80s, early 90s was when I started playing. Yeah.
Well, and
like when I started playing Shadowrun, we really didn't know what we were doing, right? So it was just whatever we could sort of understand from the book as kids. Now, the guy who was running it was a little bit older, so we relied on him to have the understanding that he needed. But it was just, it was kids messing around with this new style of game that we all really loved, and I certainly loved. I attached myself to it. I don't know if any of the other guys did, but yeah, that's where it started. It wasn't with Dungeons and Dragons. It certainly was not in the 70s.
You hear that story over and over again too about we were kids, we didn't know. Eric Tankar, I've heard him say that one many times. We were playing it. I think Joe said it too. Me and my brother, we got some rules, but they didn't even have the rules. They'd played it with somebody else, and they came home and tried to remember what to do.
Yeah,
played it themselves. Didn't know what they were doing, but I bet you if either one of those guys were sitting here, they'd say those were the most fun games I ever had played. I think it has something to do with exploring your own creativity, which as a young person, you don't even realize that's a part of your makeup. And people who have some sense of creativity can find it in role playing more so than a lot of other areas.
Indeed.
Constructive, I think. What RPGs? So right now, what RPGs are you focusing on? Do you want to spend your time on?
So I want to spend my time learning Easy D6 as much as I can. That's practical though. So I've been invited to a game that Crispy's going to run, Table Runner Crispy. It's going to be an Easy D6. And I want to make sure that I am familiar with the system to be able to second nature the rolls and the math and whatnot. So that's really what I'm focusing on right now. I just went and bought, like, I already had the rule book. I bought, what's the Wasteland one? And then there's the Book of Quests, which probably isn't going to help me, but I bought it just to complete the set. So that's what I'm on right now. I have always loved Call of Cthulhu and BRP. Generally speaking, if someone asks me what my favorite system is, that's the answer. It depends on the day. It depends on, what have I just read? What do I think is cool? Generally speaking, Call of Cthulhu is going to be my answer. I just really like the game. I like how it handles progression. It's not overt. It's very easy to track. I love the roll under percent system. I just love everything about it. Um, I also love Vampire. I started with the Masquerade, never really got to play Requiem. I mean, I did, but not as much as Masquerade. So I tend to be more familiar with Masquerade. I love World of Darkness. Trying to think of the other games. There's one other one major one that's slipping my mind at the moment. Oh, Wagner's Traveler 2E. That one's fantastic. Very, very simple. I have a whole, funny that's the one I forgot. I have a whole series of videos on that and how innovative it was when it first came out to the world and what it was the first. There are many firsts that it's able to lay claim to. And so that's what the series is about. It's just it's a very simple, unified action resolution mechanic. It's just 2d6, and you're aiming for a target number against whatever it is, skills, combat. It's all resolved the same way. It's very unobtuse, unobstructive, and obviously, because I enjoy the 4D style of play, that is a benefit to the style of play, to not have the system of struct, not require a lot of, I call it above table negotiation with the GM, or question asking, or abilities that confer benefits to other characters that you have to speak to them and let them know, like Draw Steel, which is, Draw Steel makes a lot of claims. One of the claims that it absolutely nails down is tactical. It is a tactical game, and if you are not having those above the table conversations with the other players, you are going to die. But because of 4D and it's a holistic approach, in character role play, generally speaking, that sort of game is in a good match. Doesn't mean it can't be attempted, just means it's probably going to fight you a lot more than some other systems may.
Yeah, I think some of the better systems are going to be the ones that it reminds me when I started in marketing and all that around 98 or something, websites started popping up and web design started popping up, and I read a good book somewhere around 2000 that was called Don't Make Them Think. And it was all about design and making it intuitive with a website, right? Good customer experience, good CX is intuitive. I think it's the same with these role-playing games, the ones that you don't have to stop. And I really like the little I played, and I have several of the books of DCC I love. I'm not sure I like the idea of, we have to stop and go read that 3 pages of that spell, but it's kind of built into that is the flavor of the game. But I'm sure there are other games that just don't flow that well. I played some of them.
Well, I think so. I do a lot of conversation on my channel, specifically about frames and the way that we play the games. And so, without getting too into it, I'm not going to use any names. I'm just going to say that there are different frames. They're layered together or laminated. So there's the primary frame, which is reality. You're sitting at a table or behind a screen playing one of these games with friends. There's then the game context, which is that you're rolling dice, and those dice have a specific interpretation within the context of the rules that you're playing within. That sort of thing. There's the share. Oops, connection lost. Reconnect.
Yeah, you're back. You froze just for a second, but
okay,
you're good.
I'll reset a bit. So game context, rolling dice, et cetera, interpretation. Game world, and these are all from Gary Allen Fine. So these frames are from Gary Allen Fine, which is a derivation of Goffman. Then there's the game world, which is the shared imagined space. And that's where the interpretation of those mechanics live. So you go from physically rolling the dice in the primary frame, interpreting that through the game context into the result that has in the game world. So I'm actually rolling dice. I'm reading what I got on the dice. I'm comparing that to my character sheet, and I'm taking that result and saying, I swung my sword and I wounded this particular goblin. And so that's the frames. There's also this fourth frame, the character frame, which is as you are seeing the world of the imagined space through their eyes. And so depending on your playstyle, you can focus on any different one of these frames. Now, you're always going to be laminated. So I differentiate them and I speak about them individually because it's easier to understand. But you are always present you are likely, I'll say, you are likely always present in more than one frame at a time, for the simple fact that you're always in the primary frame. You are always aware that you are a real person
Sure.
in a real space at a table or whatever. So there are going to be those games that focus on the rules, right? There's going to be the Hardmasters, there's going to be the draw steals, and where you like there are people who love that, and I can even love that. I can sit down and really enjoy how rules interact with one another to produce a result, and sometimes, especially in a game like let's say Magic the Gathering, right? So I'm a planeswalker, I'm a wizard, and we're flinging spells back and forth at each other. Every once in a while, there's a mechanic for their cards that is extremely evocative of what they're trying to, like the feeling they're trying to get is just really nailed down in the card. I don't have any examples off the top of my head. Well, no, there was one from there was a Wild West set, Thunder Junction, and one of the mechanics was, here, pay mana for this, but you can pay mana for this thing too, and this thing too, and this thing too. And it really felt like fanning your hammer, right? So you're fanning your hammer, you're firing off a bunch of rounds at the same time. And it was really evocative of that for being a card, rule on a card, tapping your mana down or tapping your lands down for mana. It really felt that way. And there are some rules within role-playing games that are able to sort of achieve that. And some people like to engage with that. And that's the game context level. Some people, like I'll say I think Rifts pretty well does this. I think that Microscope does this. They prefer to engage with the game world, where they're sort of world building and constructing the different details of the different geopolitic and the peoples and the locations. And that's kind of what they like. So there are games that deal with that. And there are games that allow you to be more in character, which would be like EZD6, Mongoose Traveler 2E, because they're less obstructive. They kind of get out of their own way. And then the one that I like to cite for a primary frame is a LARP. That's the one where you're actually transforming the physical space around you into this imaginary location, this imaginary world. So you can really sort of attend to any of these frames at any given time for any given game design philosophy and be successful. It just depends on the type of player you're constructing in the rules. Right. I'll stop there. I know I go on forever.
No, that's good stuff. I think you were touching on some of this the night we were on Second Watch. Or
yes,
maybe you were on Second Watch and I was listening, but you started talking about frames and Zakiri Allen Fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember this discussion, and I guess part of it you were talking about there briefly is creating that for the people that want it, who want that cinematic feeling. A lot of people attribute that to 5e and they assume everybody wants that, or the young people do. And I guess that's because a lot of the 20-year-olds, even 30-year-olds are coming from heavy video game experiences, and they want some sort of similar experience in their role-playing game with dice and paper and a pen or miniatures or whatever at a table. And that's a challenge to do. But I guess some systems are going to be better suited for creating that type of play.
Yes.
Than others. What within these these RPGs you're talking about, and you have a much wider not only knowledge of all these games but experience in playing them than I do. What genres, what flavors, what which ones would you rather play more than any other? Is it truly sword and sorcery, or
depends on my mood? It really depends on my mood. I love science fiction. Like, I'll go through phases where I'm reading a bunch of science fiction, reading a bunch of Sword and Sandal, reading a bunch of fantasy. Like, I really just go through these phases where this is what I'm focused on. This is what I really like. Bronze Age history, or whatever it happens to be. I just really have these different focuses that just rotate. And so one week I might be really interested in playing a sci-fi game, 40K or whatever, it doesn't matter. And that's more science fantasy. You know what I'm getting at, right? It's like, so I like science fantasy this week, and the next week I like really hard science fiction. So, okay, well, let's switch into The Expanse, and then we'll go from The Expanse to, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, Forgotten Realms, wherever you want to set it.
Yeah,
So
I think I'm in the same place. It depends on what I'm reading. I mean, I just went to the used bookstore and picked up the Odyssey again, and
oh,
reading the
awesome.
Odyssey. And just last night, it's so funny you mentioned Sword and Sandal. I'm making notes on my phone in Google Keep. I'm like Sword and Sandal. What I want to do here, and I'm grabbing ideas and things that are popping through my head while I'm reading that, and then I'd be ready to go play a game, in that setting. Uh,
Yep.
but if I'm reading, who was it, Dan Simmons' Hyperion or something, I don't know if you ever read that, but it could be anything. It could be Foundation with Isaac Asimov or Heinlein or whatever. Then I'm ready for Dropship or Traveler or Stars Without Numbers.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You
Now,
kind of want to like you read you read the story, then you go, oh, that's what I want to experience. Let's go and get a game together like that.
I should know this from us talking earlier in other venues, but what's your con experience? Are you a con guy? Have you been to a lot of cons, or just really haven't gotten there? Or
I have been to a couple of cons, but I usually don't really make it a point to go. I've been to cons for the experience. I've been to Gen Con a long, 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 long time ago. This is when I was still living in Pennsylvania, a suburb of Philadelphia. So we drove to Gen Con, which was being held in Indianapolis. I don't even know if it's still in Indianapolis because there was at the time it was kind of hopping back and forth between cities. So I have the Gen Con experience. I also have a little smaller con experiences, but not much. Not much. Like I went with friends. It was great to go with friends and to hang out. And I'm not opposed to cons. It's just not something that I like. If people are going to get together in Texas, I can road trip to Texas. I can go to a con. I can hang out. So I'm not like it's not off the table. It's just not something that I do regularly.
yeah, me either. I'm liking, I think, the idea of cons more and more, but I realize they're not all created equally, and some have strengths, and I play better into those strengths in that type of crowd than I would at others. This kind of segues for us, I guess, into 4D, which we were supposed to be talking about. We're a half hour in, we haven't gotten there yet. But
Hey, it's all right. I
we're
got
not in
time.
any, we're not in any rush. But because I was thinking about, and maybe I should ask Crispy this the other day when we were online together. I don't know if he's run 40 games or at cons before. Watcher said he was doing it even that day with high school, younger kids, and was kind of setting it up for them and trying to get them to play that way. But I don't know how well that would work in a con setting.
Um, I should know this because I know Crispy was asked recently and he actually gave an answer. I think the answer may have been that he hasn't tried running it at a con. Crispy, if you're out there, please do correct me if I'm misquoting you. I think that's what the answer was. The answer was a no. But like you said, Watcher did even the morning before the game. And there's an online convention called Crit, the community-run infinite tabletop that I have been to for the past 2 years now as a player.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been considering because one of the organizers, Chris Bynum, really great guy, awesome GM. He's sort of tongue-in-cheek reserved a GM spot for me for 2026, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm like, I don't have my own group that I run games for, let alone running it for multiple groups at a convention. But I was really inspired by the game that we were in that Crispy ran, the Viking Shadow Dark game.
Yeah.
It was so evocative. It allowed me to be really present, even though I said that I was going to take a backseat because I didn't want to obstruct your experience with Gabriel. I still was there. I was, speaking, taking my turns and all that. Man, was it evocative. He did that all in, I think it was like 4 or 5 slides. It was just incredible. I was likening it to like it was kind of cosmic horror. It felt like a Viking flavored, like Black Go to the Woods, Shub from Lovecraft. It was just a great evocative game, and that inspired me. And now I'm considering taking that GM space that Chris has given me and taking 4D to the con, and I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to sit everyone down and say, okay, hey, look, more than just a system, this is sort of a demo for a play style, and this is the outline of the play style, and it's going to be exactly the two slides that Crispy presented to you. It was say where you are, describe what you're doing, speak in first person, and that's pretty much it in a nutshell. But I don't know. We'll see how that goes. It's an idea that I'm currently kicking around. I've told Chris about it, but we'll see. So again, you get me talking and I don't shut up. The answer to your question is no, I don't really do conventions, but
okay. And and I know you're the guest here. People are here to hear you, and they want to.
I don't know about all that.
You run as long as you want to go. The only regret I had about that game, and I'm with you. Kudos to Crispy. He put together that game. That really felt cool. I'm reading some Viking stuff right now too, and it just really hit me in the right spot. The only thing I wish he would have done is had the goats that we were killing to get to the evil queen or the witch, whatever she was. I wish that when we killed one, they turned into the body of one of the clansmen from our Stormbringer clan, and we're like, oh no, we're cool. Killing our kinsmen. That would have been really creepy, kind of Cersei, not Cersei. Is it Cersei trying to turn them all into pigs? I don't remember. I just started reading it, the Odyssey. Question about 4D. Also, how long have you been doing this now? I mean, where did you get exposed to this idea? Was it always something you were kind of gaming that way anyway, and then you saw something and said, "Oh, this is cool. I can kind of codify this."
No,
somewhat.
It was always an ideal, but it wasn't something that I was always able to do. And after it really sort of started to click when I think it was Shauner that first crossed my feed on YouTube. So it was Shauner and then Crispy, and there's a whole bunch of guys involved there. That I mean, it's really is the usual suspects, right? And so I started to follow them and see how they did it. And I was at that time ready to start my own channel anyway. A friend of mine, Heath, who runs the YouTube channel Heath's Geekverse, really motivated me to start my own channel, get my own ideas out there. And really that's what it was for. It was just to get my ideas out there. And so when I started to, that's where it came from. To answer the question directly, it was watching their content online. Now I want to say it's been like 2 years. So it was like Shauner started talking about it, Crispy and Rick and Tyler and Phil and Max, they all kind of got involved on the ground level with Shauner. They were interested in what he was talking about. And then I want to say like Nicholas and Zonalar came on. And if I'm misallocating time periods, I apologize. It's not, I'm just trying to remember. Yeah. And then I think I came on soon after Nicholas and Zonalar did. I say came on. I guess I was exposed to the style after they were. And then I really started to kind of pay attention to it and talk about it. And then I was able to get a training session in on the Discord. Rick did that. Rick is fantastic. He's kind of been MIA for a bit. I think he's working on some home renovations. And then from there, it's just, I just kind of sort of did my own thing with doing the YouTube thing. And then recently it's been like, you know what, I'm just going to jump into a whole bunch of games, as many games as I can play, which has kind of bitten me a little bit because I have very little time to do the stuff that I need to get done for personal projects. But It's been fun the whole time.
So you're only playing 4D games now?
Huh?
Sorry. You're only playing 4D games right now?
Not only, no. I mean, I'm playing I'll play whoever invites me. Gary invited me to a game. I don't think he would consider it a 4D game, and I'm actually fairly certain he wouldn't because he's very hesitant to ask Crispy to evaluate one of his games. But I would play with whatever kind of, you want to do a beer and pretzels, you want to do DCC. It's funny that you mentioned DCC. I love DCC. It's it is strongly incompatible. That doesn't mean you couldn't try it. It just means that it's going to fight you the whole time. But I love DCC. I love the feeling. It has a very particular feel. and it's because of the rules, and it's because of the artwork, and it's a very evocative of a specific time and place, and a specific style, and I really enjoy it. But I'll play any kind of game like Crit. I've gone to Crit 2 years in a row now. I have not expected 4D. I have not really gotten 4D, but that's not why I go. I go to play with a bunch of people. I play because Chris is a GM and I love Cyberpunk, and he's got a Cyberpunk game that he's running, and that's come off that's come out of the con, and we're now doing like standalone sessions. It's taking us a little while to put them together because there's a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of different time zones with a whole bunch of different schedules. But it's gosh, what a great game to just kind of every couple of months be like, hey, we have this next session. Let's go and play a session. And I just want to play in a Cyberpunk world with these guys because they're cool guys and I love playing with them. So I don't only play in the 4D style, no. And I do, while I do prefer it, I think that it's an incredibly intense, evocative style. When I first started, it was exhausting. I have no problem admitting that. It's a very exhausting experience to be constantly focused and constantly considering what you're doing and how to do it. And when you're first starting out, especially if you come from a place that you're used to being asked, or you're used to being able to ask the GM questions, and you can no longer do that, that's a mental tax, because you have to figure out in the moment how to express what you want, what information you want, without just being able to ask a question above the table. And so that at first was exhausting, but it's a performative ethic. It's a skill set, which means you will get better over time the more you do it. And I have noticed improvements. Obviously, I still need to improve in specific areas. I just played a game yesterday, and I was acutely aware of all the crap that I was pulling that was just not good for the 4D style. These are just things that I notice in the moment, and I will carry through to the next game and try to improve on them. And, you know, a part of the 4D style, and this isn't, like, none of this is really unique, right? And all of these arguments have been around from the beginning. These aren't new arguments. These are arguments and perspective that have been around since people started talking about role-playing games.
Sure.
But there's a feedback component to the 4D style where you are able to, it happened, that we try to make it happen every game, where you sit down, you talk about the game. What did I do that was not correct? What could I improve on next time? What did I notice? What did you notice? Because it's not just about me and my play style. It's about how I am helping to craft an environment for others to be able to play in this same game. And so it's that I have found to be crucial in helping me improve my skill set.
Yeah, it's very generous. It's very conscious of collaboration with the other people at the table. You reminded me a lot of that, the points I made after we played that game last weekend. I made a few notes, made a little video about it, and the listening, the patience, the things you need to make it successful. And I love the fact that you said, no, I'm not, this isn't religion. It's not Amway. It's not a multi-level marketing.
Yeah. Oh, no.
This isn't all I can do or all I want to do. It's just one thing
I
do that I enjoy, one style of play. And I think that's a good thing for people to take away from this, is we're not out there promoting that this is the way you must play all the time. It is absolutely not. Because it is a very different kind of game. And I had noted the same thing you said about the concentration part and the listening, which is it's hard for me, to really be a good listener, a good active listener.
Well, I don't know, man. I think that you were a natural. I think that you and Gabriel both were just, you really picked up real quick. Like, I kind of, when the game started, we were in the boat, we pulled up to shore. I jumped out first. I demonstrated, this is me telling you where I am, what I'm doing, and this is what I say. You guys ran with it from there. It was really, really excellent. I think that you paid attention very well. I think that obviously it was a learning experience. So there are the hallmarks of a learning experience. But I thought that you guys picked it up real quick. And
it's
I
like
would
muscle memory. Yeah, it is muscle memory, right? It's practicing it over and over again, and you'll
Yep.
get better and all that. And don't beat yourself up over it. I know I got some names wrong, and at one point I missed the point that somebody was dead, and I was ready to move on, and you guys were like, "I'm still fighting over here." So,
That's totally fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that scene in particular was excellent because the way you were able to turn around on a dime, right? So you were talking about, okay, what's the next thing we're going to do? I ended the zombie, and then I turned to you and said, "Hey, one thing at a time," and you spat right back. You're like, "Oh, you're done dancing finally? Okay, now can we please go do this?" I thought that that was fantastic. So it was in the moment. It was organic. It was banter. I loved that particular moment. I mean, whether or not you feel like you messed up, I don't think that was communicated to anyone who watches that game.
Yeah, I
You
don't
know?
think it was a big deal. I made little notes of, oh, I did this, I did that, but I was real happy with the experience, and we only played, I think, less than 90 minutes, and I was pretty
Yep.
tired by the end of that. But I do want to encourage people who watch this, if I don't know everybody Bacon's talking about either, so don't feel bad if he's talking about Max and Sam and Bob and Dave and all these people. I don't know them all either, but I assume these are people he plays with regularly, and his group, and maybe his
Some of them
connection.
I still haven't played with. Some of them I still haven't played with, and there are many people who I've promised games to that I just haven't
Yeah.
gotten into a game
On
with
a
yet. It'll
Discord
happen.
channel, that kind of thing, and you talk to people and you build a community. But I would suggest, if you're interested in 4D, go look at Bacon's channel, watch the videos, go see Table Runner Crispy's channel, and watch the videos, and you'll get the feel of it. I don't want to say it's just play acting, because it is at maybe the topical level, but there's a lot of things to make it work successfully as a play actor in role playing. I mean, it's right there in what we
Yeah.
do, role
There
playing game. You
there
know?
is a lot of that. There is, I don't want to say a lot. There is some misunderstanding of what we're attempting to do. Some misunderstand it as just play acting. Oh, well, you're just doing make believe because you're not foregrounding the rules, or you're story gaming because whatever the now. I would argue traditionally, we are not traditional story gamers. We want to eliminate above table talk. We want to, so no negotiating about what would be cool in the moment or a plot or any of that kind of stuff. We want to eliminate all that stuff. Traditional story gaming, while I think Chubby Funster might say that some of the things we do, like co-creation,
Mhm.
sort of has shades of a story game mechanic. We are not story gaming. It's
Right.
that single co-creation, it's that single philosophy that we use while we play, and it is not above reproach. GMs can counter co-create in the moment. If you make something too big, like you're stuck in the desert and you need to get over to Las Vegas. Oh, I'm just going to co-create. Oh, look, there's this garage with a car in it. We can just hop in the car and get going. The GM can immediately shoot back. Well, if there's a garage there, then it's been unattended for years. The car's rusted out. It's not been maintained. There is no gas. So, like, yeah, okay, you put something there in the world, but the GM is immediately shutting it down. No, this is not an option. You cannot drive.
Yeah.
So it's not a typical story game mechanic wherein it is not entirely in the hands of the players to author these elements within the world, just wholesale carte blanche without any pushback.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of times when people say co-creating, they're talking about, or agency, they're talking about one thing. They're talking about the ability for the party to go in any direction they want, regardless of a map or what have you. There's so much more to it than that. And
yes, it's like a game is
co-creating
its
is not the
constraints.
same thing. It's not the
I'm
same
sorry, I
thing.
don't mean to talk over you.
No, it's all right. No, it's right. It just means we have lots of stuff bubbling in our heads.
Yes, yes.
In 4D, my little experience with it is the co-creation is not just that at all. It's not about that at all. It's about creating, and I hope I made this clear in my video. I did a little short on it also. The thing that surprised me most about 4D is the dialogue going on between you and me as players, right? It wasn't the stuff with the GM with Crispy was very minimal. The only thing we talked about was, we were rolling real dice, 16. He says passes,
Mm-hmm.
damage 8, hopefully 8. I don't think it was that high. But the real co-creation was going on really with the other players, that my companions in the group in the party, and that was really really fun to me. Um, it's just not the same as beer and pretzels, and I'm not comparing them. They are different, but
Yes.
I'm not knocking one and raising the other and knocking the other one down. They're just different, and you really owe it to yourself to try a 4D game with somebody, to get with a group that wants to try it. It ain't going to cost you anything. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. You'll still all be friends at the end of the thing, even if it's a giant disaster.
Yes.
So
It is frequently a giant disaster.
I happen to know, because Little Bird told me, if you're interested in learning this, that there's probably going to be a published primer out soon. Maybe not soon, but in the future, just a couple of pages that will act as a guide for you to say, okay, here's what I need. It does require a GM who's going to do this. It requires players that are going to do this. Crispy called it the social contract. Here's what we're all going to do. I'm not going to sit here with my mic on and tell, hey, my wife, bring me a bowl of cereal. We're playing. I'm not going to do stuff like that. I'm going to stay in my role. I'm going to stay in my character, because I owe it to the other players to keep that immersion going, because that's what the fun is all about. So, have you heard this rumor about a primer that's coming out? Someone's going to publish. I heard that.
I have heard this rumor. So, a friend of mine, Dr. Mike Melnick, who I've had on my channel before to talk about things like immersion, autotelic engagement, like just a whole bunch of things in psychology. He's a PsyD, so a whole bunch of things in psychology, horror. We talked about horror and fear, and so a whole bunch of things in psychology as they relate to role-playing games. He took just an incredible interest in the 4D style. He started learning about it because of my channel, and then that just exploded into Crispy, and he just started to consume as much as possible, wrote a whole bunch of notes, and then he came to me with them to say, hey, look, these are the notes that I've compiled. Can you review them to make sure that I'm accurate, to make sure that they're correct? I said, yeah, sure. So I took a look at his notes, and I looked at it and was like, you should do something with this, man. You should publish it. So he asked me on board. Oh, there's my cat. He asked me on board, and I have been writing it with him. So he did the vast majority of the writing. I did the editing. Careful.
That cat is breaking my immersion, Bacon.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. What's up, bud? This is unusual. This is a very rare appearance, even though you can't really see him. But hey, pal. Sorry about the interruption. So,
what is the cat's name?
That's enough of cat. So he wrote it. I edited it. I'm in layout now, and so we also have asked Crispy to do a foreword on it, and then we're going to put it out as a 4D handbook. And the idea is to allow people to look. All of this stuff is already out there. It's on the different channels. It's in Discord. It's the result of a bunch of fast moving conversations or videos that are maybe titled something different or not necessarily searchable. And the goal here was to make it available to people who are interested. So it's speaking to the newer 4D aspirant, right? For someone who's interested but doesn't know how to go about doing it, or what specifically they should be doing within their games and their groups. So that's the audience that it's written to. Like I said, I'm in layout, so I hope to have it out soon. But this is I want to be sure to be very strongly impressive about this is not me. I am not doing this on my own. This was very heavily reliant on Dr. Mike Melnick and the notes that he took and the writing that he did. I share some of the writing. I'm not just editing, so it's definitely a joint project. But it's not just me.
That's laudable.
He really is. He was the spark for the project. It wouldn't have happened without him.
Right.
But yeah, it should be out soonish, and I'm putting in a decent amount of money into it. I want it to be nicely formatted. I want it to kind of look like a role-playing game book. We're calling it the 4D handbook, which is reminiscent of the Psionic handbook or the Warriors handbook. So I want to kind of. I would like for it to be a nice product. So we'll be publishing that very soon. I don't know how soon. I don't know, man. I'm going to try to, I guess, do it before Christmas, but it'll likely go up on Drive Through RPG. And
Well, I think the best thing to do, and we didn't really do the promo thing, but if you're new here and you didn't come here for James, you should have. But if you didn't and you just have been introduced to him and the cool stuff he's doing, make sure you go subscribe at Better with Bacon and follow his channel. Are you on other channels too, James? I don't know. I engage with you mostly here, but
my own channel is Better with Bacon. I will make appearances when invited. So I've been on Second Watch. I've now been on your channel. Crispy and I have collaborated on things before. I'm trying to think if there are other channels that I've been on. I'm sure there are.
Do you have a blog or anything like that?
No blog, no Twitter, nothing like that. I mean, I have a Twitter, but it's languished for months. I signed up because I thought I needed it to promote my videos, and then it just kind of never did anything with it.
I'm kind of there with you too. I check it every once in a while, but okay. So the main thing is here on YouTube. Make sure you
mainly here on YouTube and Discord. If you go over to Table Runner Crispy's channel and you find the Discord link, which I think he has in most of the unsolicited advice videos, you can find me on Discord real easy.
Yeah, and I'll make sure I put it in the show notes here, so if people are watching this a month from now or whatever, they can go find how to get hold of James and how to follow his channel, and then you'll be aware when this primer comes out for 4D style of play. I don't want to keep you too much longer. We're almost at an hour, but just an obvious question, and I don't think we ever really talked about it, but what is 4D actually? What are the Ds in 4D?
There aren't 4Ds. It's 4 dimensions.
So 4-dimensional play.
As far as I know, and I'm going to get this wrong, but Shawner, I think in like 2022, 2021, started to describe the games that he would watch as 2D or 3D style games. And then from there, he branched out humorously, and it was often a misunderstood humor, but he would humorously branch out into 1D for the games that sort of fell significantly short of the mark, or 4D as a kind of like mythical, aspirational, like it's impossible to achieve, but man, that's really 4D thinking. So then I believe the way that it happened is that once Crispy and Phil and Rick and et cetera all stepped in as a sort of that they wanted to know what Shawner was talking about, they took on that name, that 4D name, aspirationally, but more seriously. So it became less of a joke, and the joke is like, lower dimensional beings, like, they're lower dimensional role players. So that was the joke. And there's a movie, it's a specific movie he's quoting that I can never remember what it is. But that's where 4D came from. It's just
4 dimensions.
It's just 4 dimensions. It's just a silly little funny sci-fi humor thing that Shawner came up with, but then that the initial group sort of grabbed onto and began to use, and it stuck. So that's what it is.
That's our trivia question for the night then.
Yep, and there's no there's no actual 4Ds. It's not like so when you went to ChatGPT,
and it told me it made up 4Ds.
Yeah, that was a hallucination.
Maybe about what that style of play was about, but it wasn't exactly what it was.
Yeah. It's just a silly name that was done for humor that people latched onto, and it stuck. It just stuck.
Does Shawner have a YouTube channel? People can go.
He does. It's at Shawner. Shawner has unfortunately passed away. It's been a little over a year now. But his videos are still up. They're still available. You can still watch them. I would encourage people to, he's sorely missed, but
what a drag. I'm sorry to hear that.
That's okay. His wisdom is still available for the ages.
What's the name of the YouTube channel, please?
Shawner, just capital HONNER, Shawner.
Okay.
And I will say he doesn't land with everyone.
Who does?
He does not land with everyone, but he did a lot of Skyrim videos too, a lot of modding and playing Skyrim. But he's
one thing we were talking about earlier, is having a couple of people that like to argue with you on your way. I'm fine with argument, but some people do it in kind of a bullyish kind of way once in a while. Not many, but the old saying that if somebody doesn't like you, if nobody doesn't like you, you're not doing it right. In other words, unless somebody's arguing with you or taking pot shots at you, you're not trying hard enough.
I agree with that.
You
Send
should
them
attract a
too
small
far.
percentage of naysayers, and once you start playing here. So, how long have you had your channel? When did you
I
start?
think it's been like we're coming up on 2 years. It hasn't been 2 years yet, but I think we're coming up on 2.
All right. Well, anything else you want to put out there about 4D or tell anybody, or we'll wrap this up? And man, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing time and us getting to talk without 5 other people.
Of course, I'd be happy to do it again. If you
Yeah.
if you come up with a topic you want to have me on, I'll have you on. We can share the load like that. I don't have anything additionally to add. No,
Okay.
I'm
right.
just really I'm very excited to have been asked on, and I'm happy to have been here and had.
Well, we're kind of swimming in the same waters, and a lot of people are finding you like I did and going, "Who is this guy?" And then I heard you on an interview or two. So you have fun stuff to say and fun ideas, and that's what people are looking for. So we'll leave it there. We'll say thank you for tuning in. Please like this video, subscribe, and do all the things you're supposed to do. And check the show notes, and I'll put information and links, some of the things we talked about in there as well, so you can follow up. And I am super committed to answering comments in my videos really quickly on my phone. So if you have a question for James, you can ask him here, or you can go find him on Discord, or you can go on his channel and find him there. But if it's something we talked about here, feel free to put it in the comments. We'll answer you back. All right. So
yeah, and I'll tell you what, I will end on one thing.
Sure.
It's not about I am not a one true wayer. I am not a one. That's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. It's about getting the experience you want to out of your hobby, out of the game at your table. And if this sounds like it could be a benefit to you, come on in, ask the questions. I'm happy to answer. I am not ever going to tell you you're playing wrong. I am not if you're an OSR guy, be an OSR guy. And I'm not, if you want to tell me I'm wrong, I'm not even going to get upset at that. I'll have the conversation with you. So it's not about, it's not about an argument. It's not about a debate. It's just, this is a way to play. Maybe you'll like it. Give it a shot. And that's really, that's really all we can ask, is that you just jump in, give it a shot.
Well said. Thanks so much, my friend, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
And I'll talk to you soon. All right, everybody. That's it for us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.